Greetings and welcome to What's Wrong with Wolfie. My name is Jason.
I'm Rich.
And I'm Chris.
This time we're talking Digitiser and Teletext. So just at the top of the show, I just want to say thanks to our lovely supporters Andrew and Tristan, who continue to back us for some mad reason. And if you wish to do the same, then you can do so by heading on over to patreon.com/The Wolfie Pod, where you'll find 3 lovely tiers to choose from, starting from just £1. Boys, we've got another guest. But this is like 2 guests in a row. It's like a record for us. But this time around, I mean, I know our guest last time, the good old Cliff, he was obviously very special. I'm not saying that in a bad way. Just putting myself in, just digging a hole here, and I need to stop because otherwise I'm just going to dig it even deeper. So, Cliff, mate, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it in the way that sounded. Okay.
What are you going to say about me when I'm not here
right?
next week?
You're extra special.
Steady.
God. You're a top bloke, and you were a great guest on our show, and we would love to have you back at some point. So please, don't. Yeah, I'm just going to shut up. But this time around, we've got an even more special guest, and we are honoured to welcome to the show an author, a screenwriter, a producer, and mastermind behind Digitiser. These days you will find him smashing the record for how much people on Kickstarter are willing to pay for human hair. He is the one and only Paul Rose. But as we affectionately know him as Mr. Biffo.
Yes,
welcome
sorry, I interjected too quickly then, didn't I?
Did.
Should have waited for the hello. Hello. Oh, there we are. I'll do it now. Hello.
Hello. It's the real Mr. Biffo.
It's the real Mr. Biffo,
we
yes.
haven't just employed a sound-alike or impersonator to pretend it's Paul Rose, because it's not. It's the actual Paul Rose.
It's the actual me. I'm not a deep fake.
No.
And what other characters he decides to bring on tonight?
Yeah, I'm actually secretly that Tom Cruise. You know, the one on... so I am.
I'm just... We just need to put sound bites of the other Paul saying, "I fucking hate this."
There we go.
How you doing? Yeah. How you doing, Paul? Are you, everything good?
Yes, everything's very well, thank you. Yes, I haven't really got any complaints.
Excellent.
Which I suppose you didn't really want that either, do you?
That's
You
fine.
don't want me to sit and start reading off things that... I've got slight arthritis in my fingers at the moment. That's developed in the last month. That's fun. Sorry, I've genuinely gone off on one.
That's fine, mate.
How's the boiler, Paul? How's the boiler?
Don't start. No, don't start on the boiler. They haven't even bloody got back to me about it. I'm
Good.
Fuming.
Yeah, they're bastards.
These things always get at the wrong time of the year.
Yeah, well, God, last year was even worse.
Was it?
Yeah,
week
you'd think they'd
before
make
Christmas
boilers to last through winter, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the point of them, right?
It's like they almost like build it in to make sure that they break it this time of year.
Yeah,
Exactly.
what they call it, inbuilt obsolescence or something, don't they? It's got a phrase.
What the conspiracy for Apple and Samsung and all the other
Exactly.
leading tech giants, isn't it? Oh yeah, your device will fuck up in 18 months to 32 months, and you have to buy a new one.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm quite intrigued, Paul, on what happened last year to your boiler.
Well, it wasn't the boiler; it was the pipes below the boiler last year. I had a burst pipe and it was a leaking pipe that I attempted to fix and proceeded to rupture it entirely. Our back room flooded, and it's like, this is why I don't do DIY. I mean, it was awful. I managed to cut my hand open doing it. I was soaked. The room was flooded. I mean, I was literally close to tears. And then we called out a plumber. This is, I'm not shitting you here. The plumber's name was Mario. It turned up and it was like, this day can't get any more bizarre or surreal. And anyway, I mean, yeah, that was weird.
Perfect. Okay, so if anyone's listened to this, I mean, I hope that they would know who you are and your history and what you do. But in case anyone's like learning about the 90s and they've for some reason chosen our show to do so, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, about your back history, and what you're getting up to these days?
Yeah, well, the thing most people seem to know me for is Digitiser, which was a Channel 4 games magazine that started in 1993, I think, and ran for 10 years. And then I bought it back about 6 years ago, something like that, as a website. And then gradually we sort of migrated onto YouTube and started doing silly videos. And, we did a series called Digitiser, the show, that was a video game show, but for YouTube. And then we sort of drifted away a bit from video games, but now we've just launched this Kickstarter, kind of going back to doing a second series of Digitiser the show, which is it's a telly version of what Digitiser was back in the day, which was as much about silly characters and getting double entendres past the editors and stuff as it was about video games. And my day job is I write kids' TV. That's what I do to pay the bills. Although I haven't done much of that over the last year, thanks to the pandemic. So that's been fun.
Yeah, brilliant. As you mentioned there, and as we alluded in the intro, you're halfway through your incredibly successful Kickstarter campaign for Digitiser Series 2. You must be quite blown away by the response so far.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, I think we were asking for 25 grand initially, and we got that within the first 2 hours, more or less. Yeah. And then we were not expecting to get that much, really, or we kind of thought we'd probably get about that, but we've done, as it stands at the moment, which is halfway through the campaign, we're on about 65 grand, and that's 20 grand more than we got last time, and we've still got 2 weeks to go. So we did not expect it. People have just been stupidly generous, and I don't know why this one they've kind of gone, yeah, let's all get behind this and chuck loads of money at it. I can't wrap my head around it, really. But we'll try and reward them as best we can.
Sure. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm a backer myself. So.
Yeah, bless you.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys.
I know.
You guys.
So you better not let us down, right?
None of you went for the hair then.
Well, of course not.
No.
It's sold out. It's sold out.
Yeah, I was too slow. I could do with some extra hair, so I was a bit gutted.
Okay. I'll set some aside for you. Just for you.
Cheers, mate.
I should have bought some to get a beard going. Anything
there you go.
Anything to start it. You know what I mean?
I could do beard trimmings as a halfway through kind of stretch goal or something.
that would probably sell, Paul. It'll probably go, mate.
It probably would.
Yeah. I mean, as you just mentioned, stretch goals. Have you added any extra goals on, or are you planning to add any more on before the campaign ends?
The next one's at 70 grand. So whether we get it, who knows? I mean, we've got some. I mean, the one I'm really looking forward to. Well, there's two. There's a visit from a monkey, where we're going to get a monkey in the studio, and then we did another stretch goal, which was a visit from a slightly larger monkey. And we're going to do it. We're genuinely going to do that. We're going to get some monkeys in and have them on the set, because that's like my dream. It's my dream. I want to meet a monkey.
We've all seen live TV and animals. What could possibly go wrong with a couple of monkeys?
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, this is sort of our format, really. Is what we do is, whether it's we're doing a live show or anything, we try to bake failure into what the ideas are. So we'll rehearse the ideas, but not quite enough, and we'll make everything slightly too complicated. Deliberately, so it'll probably go wrong, but we won't deliberately make it go wrong, because then it comes across as fake, and we'll still have the surprise of it went wrong, but not in the way I expected it. So that's the monkeys are perfect.
Just don't kill one of them, for God's sake.
No, we won't kill a monkey on you have my promise here and now that we won't kill kill either of the monkeys.
That's a serious 3.
Yeah.
We got our
That's my pledge.
yeah,
Or
boys.
at least all sign an NDA if something happens. It's like,
Yeah.
this doesn't leave this house.
Yeah, I should say. Yeah, we. You won't know whether we've killed a monkey. That's for sure.
Well, boys, we have our exclusive at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul, did you have a good idea early on how Digi would work as a TV show in the modern era? And did you feel compelled in any way to look at what's popular today, such as YOLO, Fortnite, and vaping?
Yeah, don't do anything that's popular today with kids. Basically, it's yeah. We I don't know. Did I have an idea? Yeah, I did. I suppose I had an idea of what I wanted to see, which was something that was just like stupid and didn't take the topic of video games too seriously. Because I don't know, I struggle a little bit with some of the stuff on YouTube that deals with sort of old games. It's a little bit too dry for me.
Yeah.
I want to be entertained first and foremost, and sort of, then informed. 7th or 8th, like just, so number 1 for me, entertainment, and then 2 to 3 is monkeys, and then further down the list of importance is information.
Yeah, I like that because, like you say, some YouTubers do take it too seriously, and I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about your content on YouTube is that you don't take yourself that seriously, and it's just fun.
I hope
fun
so.
to watch, and it's just a laugh, really, isn't it?
Well, it's changed. Well, what we sort of done on the channel has changed a bit over the last year because of what happened with lockdown. Because I was making videos with a guy called Paul Gannon, who was a member of Barshams and does the Cheap Show podcast, and then we couldn't get together, so I ended up starting to do videos with my wife Sanya. And we really enjoyed them, but we kind of made them a little bit chattier and more sort of, I don't know, like mates sat on a sofa hanging out with you is what we tried to do. But so that's become kind of the backbone of the channel. But then we do these specials, like we'll do Supernatural World, where we go out and try to find ghosts or UFOs or something. And we've got a Halloween special coming up that we're doing. So yeah, I can't remember what you asked me now. I've just started rambling. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Yeah, we don't take ourselves too seriously. Yeah, it's there's a lot of bickering, good-natured bickering between whether it's me and Sanya or whether it's me and Paul Gannon. We bicker a lot, the lot of us.
Yeah, there were some good examples of that on your Teddy Ruskin.
I watched that the other night.
Yes, I did shout at her quite a lot on that one. I think the one that's gone up today. I call her. I shout at her calling her a coward because she wouldn't. We had these horrible drinks from Japan, and she was refusing to finish hers. So I was berating her for that. It comes across as bullying, I know. The thing is, some people do take it at face value, and I have to sometimes go, look, it's not real.
Sure.
If we were genuinely having a domestic, I would not put that on YouTube. If I was genuinely an abusive husband, she wouldn't want it on YouTube. She'd leave me, and rightly so. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I saw that one drop today, and quite excited. I've not had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm quite looking forward to that one. How did you find those drinks in the UK? Did you get them sent over?
Yeah, I can't remember where I found them. I've had them actually quite a while. So maybe that's why they tasted so disgusting, because they've been sitting in my wardrobe. But I'm not sure. I saw the French fries one, which we tasted, which is just beyond rank. It's horrible.
I can't imagine what it would. Soggy potatoes.
Well, what it tastes like is, I mean, spoilers, but it's when you have to soak potatoes before roasting them, to kind of get the starch off. It tastes basically like, well, how I imagined that water to taste like. So kind of raw potato water. It's just, it was awful.
Yummy.
Awful.
And do you know if these are quite a popular drink in Japan?
No, well, we've had some people commenting, sort of saying they're novelty drinks, which is what we figured. Yeah, because one of them's like ramen flavour, so it's like tastes like beef noodles. That was bad as well. But no, they're more. I don't know. I don't know what the equivalent here is. I suppose when Walkers do like fish and chip flavour, limited edition crisps. Yeah, not nice. Some of the worst things I've ever had in my mouth. Steady.
And it's all on video.
It's all on video. Yeah, not the worst. The worst was when Gannon and I did a jerky taste test.
Oh, okay.
And oh man, alive! There were some bad things there. There was, we did too many for a start. I got like about 15 different jerkies. There were things like turtle jerky, genuinely snacking turtle jerky. But that one was all right. The worst two were basically balls, testicles, jerky. All they were just like flattened bollocks. And then the absolute worst one was earthworm jerky, which were just dehydrated earthworms. And just the aftertaste of those was just beyond awful.
I can't imagine doing that by choice. Like, we've got a bag of mealworms for our hamster. But it's just the equivalent of putting your hand in there and eating them like potato chips, isn't it? It's like, why would you...
no. Well, why? I don't know. Attention.
Yeah. Nutrition.
Yeah. Well, we're all going to be eating insects eventually. So
yeah, true.
I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin to find that kind of jerky. I mean, I quite enjoy a bit of beef jerky. It's pretty nice, but I obviously you're not going to pop down your local Tesco's to pick up some turtle jerky, are you?
Well, it's a company called, I think, the Newport Jerky Company. They did most of them, and then I think I got the earthworm jerky from somewhere else. You just look online for like weird jerky, or a unique jerky.
Look up weird jerky. What kind of stuff is he going to turn up?
Just go on YouTube and type in bollocks.
Yeah,
bollocks, please.
Weird enough, I bet you can find that stuff in like Harrods or Selfridges. They sell that random nasty shit.
Or Iceland, probably.
Or Iceland, yeah.
Instead from Iceland, it'd be beige. Their food's beige.
Taste of wet napkins. Yeah. So we went to, was it Harrods or Selfridges, and had like deep fried tarantula, and it's just like,
wow.
No.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's an exotic delicacy.
Is it? Well,
apparently.
You just see this stuff being sort of sold on the side of the roads in Thailand.
Yeah, because that's all they can afford. It's paupers' food, isn't it? That shit. And then the rich and famous go and make it trendy, and then it becomes a delicacy. It's like, who the fuck would eat snails? Fuck off. What?
Yeah, snails are bad.
I mean, yeah,
I agree.
Have
you ever had snails?
Yes.
You ever had escargot?
Yes.
Never.
yeah.
My family lives in France, or half of them do.
Oh.
I kind of, as a kid, I've grown up around that kind of stuff, but I've tried them once or twice, and it's just like in a garlic flavoured bogey with a bit of snot hanging off of it. It's just.
Well, when I had them, it was. You're right. They mainly just tasted the garlic, which they kind of cooked in. But the thing that I had flashbacks to it because I was a bit drunk when I had them, and I remember swallowing one, and its eye stalks were sticking out as when I picked it out of the shell, and I felt the eye stalks going down, sort of running down my throat as I swallowed it. And the next day, it was like I had PTSD eating these bloody snails. All I could remember were these eye stalks tickling my throat. Awful. Never again.
No.
Well, that was
Interesting tangent.
Yeah, sorry about that.
On the upside, frogs' legs are quite pleasant actually.
They're all right, aren't they? They're just like
they're like mini chicken legs. That's exactly what it
you
tastes
don't
like.
get a lot of meat on them, but they are quite nice.
No. It's
no dear.
not tried monkey yet though.
Well, give it
Get into
time.
the bushmeat trade, you know.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Monkey jerky. Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh God.
Let's stop tangenting and let's wind the bottle.
You're telling Paul to stop tangent.
Yeah, I'm king of tangents, I'm afraid.
Oh no, this is why you and Chris are getting on so well, because Chris is the king of tangents as well. So.
Oh God, two of us together, that's never a good sign.
Go off the track for hours and then without fail go back to the exact same spot that I left to explain the 4 other things I've got around.
And then go on a new tangent.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Let's wind the clock back a bit, shall we? Let's get back on track. We didn't get Paul here. Well, I mean, we did get Paul here to talk about interesting things, but we also wanted to talk to him about Digitiser and Teletext. So we kind of want to know, what were you up to prior to working on Teletext, and what led you getting involved in that and ultimately creating Digitiser?
Well, first job I had out of school was working for Ladbrokes Racing in their head office, and that's where I learned how to. It was as a graphic designer, basically, and that's where I learned sort of Teletext graphics, because their in-store betting service, which I kind of did animations of horses running and stuff like that on the screens for their shops. It was a very sort of similar system to Teletext, and they had Teletext pages, or Oracle as it was called back then. So I learned how to sort of deal with quite chunky pixels there, and then from there I kind of went to really chunky pixels and got a job at Wembley Stadium doing graphics for the scoreboard.
Okay.
And the pixels there were literally, it was the weirdest thing, because as well as doing sort of the animations and that actually scoring the matches was one of our things that we had to do. We also had to maintain the scoreboard, and that meant kind of going over to the scoreboard across this basically really thin plank of wood.
Oh no!
150 feet above the stadium, and changing, if there was a dead pixel, you had to go and change it out, and the pixels, each of them was basically just a light bulb that you unscrewed and screwed a new one in. It was like so basic. And while I was there, then I got a call from the editor of Teletext, which was just starting up, or kind of in the process of starting up, taking over from Oracle, and they needed a graphics person, and someone that I'd worked with at Ladbrokes had recommended me to him, and that was it really. So I got a job there as Teletext graphics guy, and they were asking people to suggest ideas for magazine sections on the service, and I suggested a video games section, and they sort of said, well, fine, okay, well, you can write it. So I ended up accidentally becoming kind of a games journalist, while also still doing my kind of graphics at the same time, which didn't take long, because I mean, look at Teletext. They weren't very complex images. I generally had to do.
Yeah, I was always quite impressed though with what you could put on or get onto Teletext graphics wise. And
yeah, I mean, there's the guy called Steve Horsenberger on Twitter, who is kind of the master. He was actually, I went to school with him and I got him a job at Teletext, and now he's a kind of considered Mr. Teletext, because it still exists as like an art form, and he does some amazing art, but generally the graphic designer at Teletext didn't get to do kind of full page images. It was just little kind of icons in the corner of pages, and it was apart from the comic strip Turn of the World, which I also wrote for the kids pages, that there wasn't a lot of call for kind of big graphics that were particularly complex.
No, that's interesting. It's like, how was the what's like the process? I mean, there's something that's always kind of intrigued me about Teletext as well, like getting it from the computer you were using to get it onto the service. Was it quite an awkward thing to do? Was it quite easy?
No, it was piece of cake. People can try it out for themselves. There's a website called edit.tf, which set up by a guy called Simon Rawls, which is a online teletext editor. So you can try it out, and it explains how to do it down the sort of left-hand side of the screen. And it's basically the screen is made up of blocks, obviously, but the blocks are kind of 2 by 6 or 2 by 3 pixels, so 6 pixels in total in each block, and a cursor makes up a whole block, and then QWASZX. You'd press Q if you want like the top left corner of the block to fill in, and so on. So I mean, yeah, people should go and have a go of it at edit.tf. It's fun. I always like the limitations of it because it forces you to be kind of more creative and get clever.
Yeah. Paul, speaking of creative, I mean, one of the things Digitiser was best known for was his characters. Had the likes of Fat Sal, the man with the long chin, and the man's daddy, had they been long gestating in your brain, or were they something you conceived as Digitiser come together?
None of them were. They were all meant to be just throwaway things. Because I worked with Tim Moore, who I wrote Digitiser with for the first 3.5-4 years, something like that. We were just trying to make each other laugh. And so the characters, and because I could do graphics, I could draw the characters and give them a stupid name. And so it was always just an attempt to kind of make each other laugh, really. So things like the man's daddy and, all of that, they were just throwaway. But some of them stuck because people would then write into us quoting things back. So then characters kind of would get brought back, like Mr. T, and it just became, something with their own momentum. It was never designed. It was all quite shambolic.
Some of the best ideas are.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we were talking just before you came on about Fat Sal.
Yeah.
And like, excuse me, we can like hear the character these days, and it was quite good because I can't remember the name. Who does the impression? Rich?
Eli Silverman.
Eli, that's it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And like he kind of just nailed it with like how, because obviously that we read the characters obviously back in the day on Teletext, so we had to use our imagination to know how they sounded in our head. But I feel like he nailed it.
Yeah. Well, I think I remember mentioning him to someone for the first time, and a mate who was a Digitiser fan originally, and saying, "I'll got Eli to do Fat Sal's voice," and he just went, "Yep, perfect." And even though Fat Sal technically is female, female pig is a Sal, obviously, it just works. It's just brilliant because he's a angry guy, got an angry little fella anyway. So it was brilliant.
I mean, I'm on the morning commute the other day listening to Fat Sal calling Paul fucking shit, and I'm just crying my eyes out on the way to work. I'm just doing my homework for the podcast, and I'm just beside myself. So thank you, Paul, and thank you, Eli.
Yeah, he's great.
We had a listener question from Demon Scythe Swap Shop, and they asked that will we see these characters come to the live show or even to the YouTube channel?
I mean, lots of them have been on there already. I mean, the man's daddy has been brought to a horrible life, and we had several of them on the live show that we did last month. But yeah, absolutely, the second series of Digitiser the show, because it's going to go out. It's going to coincide with the 30th anniversary of Digitiser, so I want it to be a proper celebration of that, and bring back. Or for the first time, some of the characters that were on there originally, breathe life into them, make them real. But I don't know who yet. Yeah, we'll see.
That'll be a surprise.
Yeah. We had last time in the first series, we had Mr. T. We had as a guy who's kind of Britain's only, as far as I know, Mr. T impersonator, and we had him spend a day with us, telling people to stay away from his bins, and that was bizarre. I mean, it was bizarre for him, but I'm thinking, I'm just sort of stood there watching him do this and just think, I cannot believe this is happening. This thing that I did kind of 25 years ago is like now live action. Bizarre.
Yeah, that must be quite crazy for you, like you say. I mean, you just got a job. It was a job to you when you started on Teletext, and to see how it grew to where it went must have been really crazy for you.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I never really had a sense of how popular it was. It was all sort of in isolation. And even though now, I mean, our YouTube channel's tiny, relatively speaking, especially compared to how popular Digitiser was back in the day. But there's a lot more now because of social media. There's a lot more sort of direct access to the audience. And so I guess I appreciate it more, the people that are there and who support us, and particularly when, it's something like the Kickstarter. We may not have the biggest audience, but my God, they're passionate. Yeah. And, they're so supportive. And, like you three guys, really appreciate it. And, I can't even begin to put into words, how supportive people are. Over what we do, and I don't, this sounds like false modesty, but I don't get it really. I don't know what we do that people like, but they do. So and to the sort of degree of faith that they're putting in me to do this second series of Digitiser the show, it's so gratifying, and I really, really appreciate everything they've done.
It sounds funny, but when the first series came out, I think what it kind of evoked to me was, it almost reminded me in a weird, twisted way of like Saturday morning television. Like you had the presenters on a desk and the props, and it felt real and physical, and just that weird anarchic nature of it. It just felt like TV from the 90s, and it really meant a lot to me. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Well, no, thank you for saying that, because that's kind of what we were trying to do, trying to capture some of that sort of ramshackle, like Tiz was, when I was growing up. Because the kids shows, or the Saturday morning kids shows that I used to watch, there was a sort of sense of danger of stuff going wrong, and you'd get people ringing up and telling 5-star to fuck off or whatever. And so there was always that feeling that this could all just fall apart any minute. But also the camaraderie and the fact that no one took it too seriously. And it's like, they're not treating it like it's, important in any way. And trying to capture that spirit as well. It's sort of a mix between, I suppose, that feeling of kind of getting up at 8:30 and switching on the telly on a Saturday morning, combined with coming home from the pub on a Friday night at 11:30 and putting the telly on. That's the spirit of it.
It's funny you should go talk about that, because that's what kind of happened with the 11 o'clock show,
right? Where
it was kind of a bit. I found it kind of a bit boring and stuffy, and a couple of middle-aged men talking about alternative news, and then all of a sudden, was it season 2 or 3? They completely changed it and had this madcap version with Ian Lee and Mackenzie Crook was on there, and who was the girl presenter? I can't remember her name. It's escaping me. Daisy Donovan. Daisy Donovan. And it was just, like you said, it's just madcap energy magazine show for adults, and it's just like, what is going?
Exactly.
It just completely rebranded it, and it was better for it, and very, very similar. It sort of just popped into my memory there.
Well, I'm a big believer in things feeling authentic, and I think people can smell, on an instinctive level, when something's sort of fake and people are trying too hard. And so. It's so important for me that things feel real. I mean, on the first series of Digitiser the show, we started out, believe it or not, with an auto cue. We got a kit to sort of set up an auto cue, and I tried doing the first sort of intros using it, and it felt so fake that it turned out to be a waste of money. I stopped using it. And I sort of realising how. The more sort of natural we all are, and the more ourselves, and the more we're winging it, the more people kind of will respond, I feel. Because then it does, if something feels real, it feels tangible, and they can hold on to it.
Well, it's that spontaneity, and watching your videos on YouTube is exactly that. It's literally just not mucking around, but that free flow, that unpredictability, that natural banter you have with people, and then the chemical reaction between people as well. It works on a fundamental level.
He's trying to. Nothing's too scripted, and you know, as you say, it keeps it unpredictable for us and for people watching. And so then the reactions you get to things are real and genuine. I mean, probably the highlight for most people of series 1 of Digitiser the show is, well, there's two. There's one, Sniff Sonic's rings, which I don't know if you know what happened. Where Sonic the Hedgehog turns up with these gold rings, which basically some of them smell like shit, literally smell like shit, and they're handed out, and you have to identify, what they smell of. And Larry Bundy Jr., I didn't realise he was going to have quite that reaction. But the thing is, then it just falls apart, because I didn't expect him to retch to the degree that he was. Then my wife, who was producing behind the camera, starts freaking out and going, get him back, like, stop smelling it. So there's that going on. Gannon's retching, Larry's retching, I'm like falling apart with laughter. And then, this is the thing, that was like chaos. That was the point. I think we did that on the Wednesday, we started filming on the Monday, and that was the point at which I went, this is going to work as a show. And then the following day we did a crane grabber game. I don't know if you saw it. We had like a mechanical crane. It's this bizarre thing. I made Paul Gannon dress up in this stupid costume as the Herald of Niven. And the idea was we were going to put prawns over his body, and then people would use a remote control mechanical crane to pick the prawns off him and put them in a bucket called Niven's Pranny. Now, what I didn't know, what Gannon had failed to tell me, is that he's like violently allergic to seafood. So he's laying on the floor. I've got this packet of prawns, and as I'm walking over to put them on his body, like all the prawn juice drips out onto his eye.
Oh, no.
Right, and then on top of that, and then Larry Bundy's playing the game, and he retches at the smell of seafood. Right, now all of this chaos is going on, and none of it was scripted, none of it was planned, and this is what it's my only concern really with series 2 is that we don't try and replicate that. That what instead we do is we try and replicate the production chaos that leads to stuff like that. The unprofessional, we call it unprofessional professionalism, because we are very professional. We believe it or not, we're not sloppy behind the scenes. But in terms of knowing what will get results on camera, we deliberately kind of cut a few corners on purpose. And that said, you still can't plan for someone who kind of retches like to the point of throwing up at seafood, or someone who's got a seafood allergy who happens to have been the main person in a game where he has to have seafood placed all over his body. Who knows what will happen next time.
I think that's that's one of the things that just appeals to watching your content, because I think, like you say, if a more serious YouTuber or creator was doing that kind of stuff, they'd probably cut all that out and do it again. But
that's the gold, When I was growing up, I always loved those moments when comedians would start corpsing, because you saw the reality behind the characters. Morecambe and Wise were great for it. Those moments when Eric Morecambe would start to smirk, or you could see he was kind of trying to push Ernie Wise to laugh and trying to make him laugh, and it's so naughty, and but that's so brilliant at the same time, and I live for that kind of realness. And also, I don't know, fuck it, I'm nearly, I'm 50, I'm really old. I'm quite an old man, and I don't know, I fakeness, I have no time for it. I can't pretend I'm anything other than I am, which is an arthritic old man.
But that's the best philosophy that you can have, I guess, no matter if you're 50 or whether you're 20. I think it's just just be who you are and try not to be someone you're not, and that's just a great way to look at things in life, I think. So
yeah, totally.
Going back to Digitiser then, we were quite interested to know how the idea came about of the mock adverts, and was there like a particular advert you were proud of the most?
Do you mean the original ones on Teletext?
Yeah.
Again, it's as with anything on Digitiser. It was Tim and I trying to make each other laugh, and Teletext had adverts anyway, so it just seemed natural to us to try. They stopped us doing it in the end because they thought people would mistake them for real ones, even though we would have at the top of the page it would say not a real advert, and obviously they'd be about things like, I don't know, stoat foam. So foam, this stuff you apply to a stoat to make it all foamy. I don't know, stuff like that. You'd have to be off your face to think it was real.
Clearly a market for it. It has to be so.
Yeah, clearly. There's a big stoat fanciers audience out there. So I don't know. That was it, really. There's no real story beyond other than it felt like an extra way of getting some nonsense on the pages, which was always our goal.
Fair enough. I mean, and I think, obviously that's one of the biggest appeals about Digitiser was there's that nonsense that you guys managed to capture on there.
Well, it helped as well because Teletext is inherently ridiculous anyway. It's somehow, I think there was something about Teletext which made it funnier. Seeing stuff that sort of really shouldn't be on there, on a medium like that, and the fact that we could only, per editorial page, you could only get like 60 words on a page, something like that. So it meant we had to be, we couldn't go in depth about games, to the degree that magazines could. But it was quite easy to just sort of put in something stupid at the end of a review, like mock or anything like that. So it sort of forced us to be creative, I suppose.
Definitely. And like the reveal-os were quite a personal favourite of mine, as it made me feel part of the page. Was it kind of yours or Tim's idea as well for Turn of the Worm?
Turn of the Worm being sick, that was me, because Tim had long gone by that point. I don't know what I was thinking, but it went out. That should not have gone on air. And that was, but I suppose they figured, well, it's his last day, let's let him get away with it. But yeah, the revealos were, I don't know, I don't want to take credit, but they probably were my idea. I just figured it's a way to get an interactive element on the pages. Really, we've got the ability to tell people to press reveal. So let's use it. Use it, and then people then are actually directly interfacing with what's on screen.
And that was quite magical for us. Being the viewer. Especially before the internet, this was the closest that we had to something that was that kind of, apart from the video games themselves, but, quite interactive on your TV. You could press the reveal button and your interaction did something on the screen. It was quite a magical thing for us, I think.
Yeah, and it was great for comedy because, comedy is built on surprise, really. So, they'd be reading a page of, I don't know, a text or something, and then, press reveal to see a swan, and then they press reveal and it'd be, I don't know, a cat or something. That's a terrible example. I hope I never did that. But there you go, surprise. So, what did I say? So it worked for us comedically, and, it was, you use all the tools in the box, really.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. You had some kind of like troubles when you were at Digitiser.
Yes.
There's a nervous laugh. And like, what was the time period like when you had campaigns from like Mean Machines and O&M and even those within the ranks of Teletext that were trying to give the Digitiser team the boot and such?
Wow. More or less from the start, to be honest. we were troublemakers from the off. We were really naughty boys. And I don't know. I mean, the Meme Machine stuff, all of that, all the EMAP things, and Steve Merritt, who edited Meme Machines, we're mates on Twitter now. We get on perfectly well, but we were really horrible to each other. And it was so stupid. It was just, I mean, I can't quite remember exactly when it happened, but within Teletext, yeah, I mean, that started fairly quickly because we, I don't know, I know it wasn't me. Tim had written something about epilepsy on the pages, and this was in the first few months of us being on air, and the British Epilepsy Association rang up to complain. I mean, the guy was an idiot, frankly, because Tim hadn't said anything offensive. He was reacting to the scare stories that were in the press at the time about video games causing epilepsy and all the rest of it. Anyway, and then it was in the paper on a Saturday. I saw it. I was kind of flicking through the pages and I saw, Teletext rapped over sick video game joke. I kind of read this piece and I think I rang Tim and said we're going to be in trouble, and then the deputy editor rang me about 5 seconds later, and I had to go through every single word on the site with her, and just checking what was offensive and what wasn't, whether there was anything else on there. And then from that point onwards, that was it. Our card was marked. They were looking out for anything that we might have done that was naughty. Mm-hmm. But they tended to miss the more obvious stuff, and they'd pick up on things that weren't offensive. They'd see, rude stuff in there that wasn't there. And I think, because a lot of the time we sort of snuck it over their heads with, like, Zombie Dave, who would just, like, absolutely foul-mouthed zombie, but would disguise what he was saying with lots of sort of Zs and lots of consonants, and they never picked up on any of that. Somehow all our readers did. They never did, and it would be absolutely filthy. And I think they kind of had a sense of there's something going on here that we don't get. This is the editors, and so they were always suspicious, but yet they were also too stupid to actually directly get it and kind of go, why is Zombie Dave calling that person the C word? Well, he's not. He's saying something completely different.
Yeah. That must have been quite frustrating for you, mustn't it?
It was at times, but I can't blame them with hindsight. I mean, it was a service that, was supposedly for all ages, and it was as much as the double entendres and the slightly rude stuff that was on there. They just didn't like the surrealism because they didn't get it. They didn't like the surreal humour. It was just weird to them, and straight-laced people don't like weird things.
No, so true.
It annoys them and scares them.
I mean, I came to book a holiday and a zombie called me a cunt. It's just that's the last thing you want.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Did you ever buy a Teletext holiday?
I don't know if I ever did. I certainly browsed the pages. My family certainly used it, but I don't think I ever did.
Didn't know if you got a discount or not.
Oh no. Well, now all they are now is basically a holiday company, but Teletext still exists just as Teletext Holidays.
Amazing.
But
it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, back in the day, I don't think I ever used it. Not for that, anyway.
I mean, obviously, all that aside, I know towards the end of Digitiser's life, they kind of shifted the tone to make it more kind of straight-laced and by the numbers. Was there one particular thing that made that happen? And yes. I know you obviously had to run it solo as well, so I didn't know if that was part of it.
No. I mean, I've been writing it solo for years by that point. The thing that caused it to happen was 9/11, believe it or not.
Of course.
Trigger warning.
That was the excuse I used. Genuinely was. They brought me in and said, we're going to have to cut back the service because people aren't booking holidays because of 9/11. Oh, and
Makes
by
sense.
the way, your humour excludes people, so let's get rid of all that at the same time. So,
Wow.
it was Al Qaeda that kind of got rid of got rid of the man's daddy for a year.
Someone had to. I mean.
Another reason to hate them.
Yeah, as if there weren't enough already.
Exactly.
So and then people just kept writing in saying, "What the hell have you done to Digitiser?" So they asked me to put it back to how it was after a year, which was rather lovely. And then I handed in my notice. Pretty much a couple of months after that.
I mean, you had no involvement when I remember they changed it to a brief while to Game Central, didn't they? You had no involvement in that whatsoever, did you?
No, once Digitiser was gone, it was nothing to do with me, any of that.
Yeah.
I kept the colour scheme, I think, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going, Game Central. I mean, fair play to them, albeit in the Metro newspaper these days.
I didn't even make that connection. Oh, wow.
No.
Yeah, that's the same. It was the same people.
Wow. Amazing.
That ran it. Yeah. So the the Digitiser legacy lives on in various ways.
Incredible. That's incredible.
That's brilliant. That's crazy. Yeah. So looking back on your other work on Teletext that you were involved in outside of Digitiser, was there any that remain particularly proud of?
I mean, I Turn of the Worm, the comic strip that I used to do every week. I loved doing that. That was a lot of fun. That was bizarre in places. I mean, it was all very much PG, but it was quite surreal at times. And that was where I kind of got to really sort of flex my artistic muscles, I guess. And beyond that, I did some writing, I think, certainly for the music pages, and then the odd bit for. I mean, I may have written something for the teenage pages. I'm not sure. Don't think so very much. But yeah, though I didn't do much else beyond Digitiser and just general graphics. Someone would come to me and go, "Oh, I need a picture of a hairdryer," and then I'll do that. So it wasn't the most, the most creative role, the graphics side.
And you did some work on my other favourite part of Teletext, and that was Bamboozle, didn't you?
Well, I designed Bamboozle. I never actually did any I didn't run it as such.
Mm-hmm.
I did the graphics of the character and his family. And we had our own spoof version of Digitiser called BW, which didn't stand for anything. In fact, the character, we were kind of trying to come up with, I think, like a... I think we were trying to come up with a kind of pun version of Bamboozler. And so I started typing B, and I think I accidentally hit W. And then we just went, that'll do. So the character became known as BW. So Bamboozle, I didn't really have a lot to do with it once I designed that character. Who was meant to look a bit like Bob Monkhouse, that's what I was told.
A sort of resemblance.
Yeah. A little bit.
So getting a bit more topical, with the news of the rebooted Games Master series being announced and filming having taken place, can we talk about your time on the original show? And do you think you pop up on the new one?
Well, Rab Florence, who's presenting the new one, has backed Digitiser Series 2.
Has he? That's so cool.
Perfect.
I don't know if he did that to stop me saying anything negative about the new Games Master, which, if so, that was very clever of him. No, I very much doubt. I'm too old to be on it. They've got no way. They'd be like, I'm probably the right age to be Games Master now himself, but I'm way too old. They won't have me on there. They won't have me anywhere near it at my age. Stinking of cabbage. But the original, yes, that was horrible. My original appearance on it was awful. It was awful, and I just looked like a rabbit caught in headlights. And I looked awful because I'd blown dry my hair for some reason that day, and I was just awful. I shaved as well. I never shave. No, and I just looked terrified because I was given all these games to review that I hadn't played. So no, I did. Funny enough, though, I did I did audition to be a regular reviewer on there sometime afterwards, and I thought I did quite a good job of that review, of that audition, but they didn't ask me back, so obviously I didn't.
Stelos.
Exactly, yeah.
Anyway,
I think you would have done a better job than some of the people that they got on there.
I'm not at liberty to comment.
Because they gave you, like you mentioned, like they gave you some games that they wanted you to talk about that you'd never played. You were playing a different set of games that they told you.
Well, they've given me the list of games and sort of said, make sure you've played all these. So I did, and prepared what I was going to say. And I turned up, and they went, right, so they're the games you're reviewing just over there. And I had never seen any of these games before, let alone played them. And so I had like about 15 minutes to kind of work out what these games were called and find something about them so that I could speak about them on camera. And at the time, you know, it was really like rabbit in headlights. I wasn't used to being on camera anyway, but you know, I could have done without being put on the spot like that. To have to just wing it about, you know, I don't know however many it was, 6 games or whatever that I'd only seen 5 minutes before. It was nightmarish, absolutely awful.
Because I think one of them was it one of them Megalomania?
Oh, maybe. I can't even remember now. I think there was some football game. I think one of them was Toe Jam and Earl 2. And these are all like really early versions of the games as well. They were on ROM cartridges. They weren't finished versions. So there was no way I would have got to play them prior to turning up there because, you know, the games industry hated Digitiser. Generally didn't send us advanced versions of games. So, it was awful.
It's a shame you had that kind of lasting memory for that TV show in a way. But I mean, like, I listened to the Under Consultation podcast.
They're nice chaps. Yeah,
lovely guys.
And you know, as they're going through the TV shows and that they're picking up on things that we obviously never would have noticed back in the day, and like how, you know, shambolic some of the series were run. I mean, did you see any of that? I mean, obviously that you've got a great example, I guess, like where you got given completely different games to what you was told. Yeah,
it was, and no one, I don't know, there'd been some communication breakdown, but as well, it was always, it sort of reinforced the feeling that Digitiser was on the outside, because all the other people that were there that day were all the, you know, Jazz Rignall and all the EMAP gang, you know, all the insiders, because the games industry back then, no idea what it's like now, I'm still on the outside, but back then there was a real sense of it being a bit of a sort of boys club, and, you know, all the EMAP journos particularly kind of, you know, hanging out with the PR people, and I don't know, it was very incestuous, and we weren't interested in playing that sort of game, and sucking up to them for a group. You know, we were literally biting the hand that feeds. So we were so self-destructive. It was ridiculous.
Fair enough. Did you, out of interest, did you back the Games Master book? That
I didn't. I wished I had. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I just didn't because I just thought, oh God, what if I'm in it? What if I'm in it? I wouldn't want to see that because that clip has just haunted me. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
I'll let you know.
No, thanks.
Well, I asked the listeners if they had a few questions that they would like me to ask you, and the first one that I got back was, why did Digitiser give Star Fox Adventures 2 out of 10?
I can't believe we only gave it 2 out of 10. That's really low. Did we really?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently.
I can't believe that. I mean, I'm sure it's true. But that is very low. I can't even remember the game, to be honest. Didn't it? I think it started life as a game called Dinosaur Planet or
That's
something
right,
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they sort of reskinned it.
Mm-hmm.
I barely remember it. I guess the only thing I can think is that we kind of thought, oh, that's not enough like proper Star Fox.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can assume. I'll have to go back and have a play of it and see what it was that I hated so much. But yeah, that does seem really low.
Well, Jason Madison, there's your answer. Even Paul shocked that he got a 2 out of 10. So
yeah, definitely.
I also reached out to Super 58.
Oh, Super Page 58.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wondered if he had any questions for you that he would like
Chris Bell.
would
Chris
like
Bell
you to
is
answer.
a legend.
And he came back with some questions. So he would like to know if you have any favourite memories of doing the Rings phone pranks on Teletext.
Oh, yeah. There's one that we didn't. Oh no, I don't even know if I can even tell this story. This is bad because we
Start
didn't.
it now.
That's right. Yeah,
Once Tim left, or rather was fired, we carried on doing them. This is the thing. We'd go round to his house. We didn't stop doing them. They didn't go out, but we still did prank phone calls. Oh man. Can I tell this story? Oh, okay. So we had this Stephen Hawking style voice box.
Off to good start.
Yeah, we used to. We rang this pizza place to try and order a pizza with it, basically, and he would ask for kind of weird things on the pizza and explain that I feel bad about it because they would really hang on because they'd think, oh God, this poor person's not got a voice box or a larynx, and they'd be really patient while we just sort of made them jump through hoops. So I don't know if that's a favourite memory. That's the most shameful memory. That's the most vivid one. There's one that there was one where we rang up and we censored it actually for what went out, I think, on air, where we talked about a donkey that I don't know what this had to do with video games, but talked about how my niece couldn't walk because she was really fat and she'd sat on a donkey and it shattered its spine and all the bones went in her legs. That's bad, isn't it? That's really bad. I was a young man. What can I say? I don't have any favourite memories. Just bits of doing them stick out. But some of them we censored.
He also would like to know if we will be getting a new puppet made for the show to go with Fat Sal.
A couple of people have asked this. Fat Sal was really expensive. There were several things on the first series that cost a bloody fortune that I don't know whether they were the wisest use of money. Fat Sal, yes, she's iconic, and we've made good use out of her since, but it was close to $1,000, that puppet, believe it or not. And I ended up having to repaint it myself anyway because I wasn't happy with the paint job on it. But I don't know. I'm toying with it because there's a few characters that would sort of lend themselves to being puppets, but I don't know yet.
Well, the way the Kickstarter's going.
Yeah, but even then, it's like because last time we massively underestimated how much we'd have to spend on all the sort of merchandise and postage, and also because of course like Kickstarter takes a chunk of fees and then there's like VAT and all of that. We really underestimated that. I mean, I'm already at the moment I'm in the process, me and Sanya, my wife who produces it, sort of in the process of kind of going, well, how can we spend a load of it now so we don't have to pay too much VAT on it? What can we buy for the show for next year now? Maybe we could buy a puppet, but anyway. But I just don't know. So I don't know. So things like that I'd kind of last time I sort of said to myself, oh, we need a desk. I want a desk. I want a Fat Sal puppet. Oh, I want Mr. T. Those three things alone cost a huge amount of money. You know, we're talking kind of sort of close to $5,000 for those three things.
Wow.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a big chunk of change.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go, well, you know, what else could we do with that that would put value on screen? So, you know, given that Fat Sour pops up like 3 times in the series, was that really the best use of money? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not ruling it out, but I mean, you know, it might be a puppet that I make myself out of paper mache or something rather than kind of get a company to do it. I mean, the company that did it, you know, we asked around a few and they were the cheapest. But they also did, believe it or not, they did costume designs for Katy Perry's live tour that year as well. So they had quite a good reputation. Anyway.
Well, keep an eye out. And his last question is, if money were no object, what would be your ultimate game to do for real on the show?
Oh, well, I'm hoping we're going to get to do some of them. Yeah, what my ultimate ones are. I mean, I sort of got in my head I wanted to do pilot wings for real. A few years back, I treated myself to an aerobatics flight in a kind of a plane that does the loop-the-loops and everything. And you know, you actually fly it yourself. You know, it's kind of a trainer plane. There's the pilots in the back, and then at some point it kind of goes, off you go. You've got the controls. And we did, you know, barrel rolls and stuff. And it was the most violent nausea I could. So perhaps putting that on camera might be quite good. I've actually got a photo of me flying this plane because they had like a camera mounted on the wing. Then I've got it up in my hallway, and basically he sort of says, "Oh, turn to the camera, Paul, smile," and I'm basically giving the camera the finger because I felt so sick. It was so awful. Yeah, and this guy, because it was in America, and this guy in the back is going kind of like, "Yeah, woo, Paul, yeah, woo, you want to do it again? Yeah," and I'm like, no, stop, enough. So I'm wondering about something like that, pilot wings for real.
Yeah, that would be great.
But we might be able to afford it. You know, we might be able to afford that, but I can't promise. I don't know. God, if money was no object, that's really hard. Full-size Donkey Kong. Full-size Donkey Kong with barrels rolling down with someone in a monkey costume at the top. There you go. Or better still, a real gorilla at the top. Yeah. Chucking the barrels.
And that's how the conversation rolls back round to the beginning.
Yeah.
To the monkeys.
Full circle.
Exactly.
Monkey.
I think that would be great. A full-size Donkey Kong, yeah. Do it. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah. I think that's what I'd like to do if money was no object, like kind of build a full-size Pac-Man maze. That sort of thing, you know, build proper full-size recreations of video game levels.
Someone must have done full-scale Donkey Kong by now, surely.
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you? Yeah. Yeah, you'd have thought
it's just
so.
asking, like, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Maybe like you could do like a full-size Micro Machines.
Yeah. Yeah, like what, 1-to-1 scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when we get desperate and we run out of money.
Yeah. just called machines.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chris from Superpage 58. If no one knows what he's doing, he's dedicating himself to Digitiser and kind of like archiving, documenting, and preserving Digitiser, and he's pretty much just trying to upload all the pages of Digitiser, isn't he?
He's an absolute legend, Chris. He's a lovely, lovely guy as well, and really he's been sort of instrumental at points in Digitiser's history of just being a kind of cheerleader for it, really, and kind of encouraging me to keep going. And and what he's doing now is, I mean, I think they've recovered something like 40% of Digitiser that went out. You know, given that we thought this was a medium that would never, it could never be saved. The fact that they've managed to recover so much of it is just astonishing, really. And there's a whole bunch of people that do it. You know, Jason Robertson is the guru who causes off Grim Fandango on Twitter, and he's the guy who sort of has got this system of pulling old teletext images off of VHS tapes. So it's so smart what he does. And yeah, Chris is then uploading them, and then he's got other people who are kind of, sometimes the pages are corrupted, so there are other people who are kind of piecing the pages back together. It's like proper archaeology. It's amazing, really.
It sounds amazing. I mean, it can't be an easy thing to do at all, I don't think.
No, and again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier about having this passionate audience. It just blows me away.
Yeah.
Really does.
Must make you feel quite humble.
Yeah, totally. I absolutely don't take it for granted whatsoever. I'm really blessed.
That's great. Rich, do you want to ask our last question?
Really. Well, bit of a tangent again, this one.
Sure.
So in our last episode, we were doing a deep dive on the three big Jim Carrey films from 1994, and I was wondering if you had a favourite out of Ace Ventura, The Mask, or Dumb and Dumber, or maybe you think they're all a bit shit.
I'm not the biggest Jim Carrey fan in the world, I'll say that, but out of those, it's Dumb and Dumber hands down for me.
Exactly.
Good choice.
How four guys could come up with the same result.
Yeah, because we...
it's no-brainer.
Yeah, we... At the end of the episode, we obviously chose our favourite outfit. It was Dumb and Dumber. 100%.
Yeah, it's it's him playing to his strengths. Being obnoxious idiot. Rather than just obnoxious, which he sometimes, I find him. He's really got weird and intense these days, though, isn't he? Have you ever seen him?
Well, I tell you what, while you're here, I just have one more question that I've always kind of wondered. And like, out of all the retro consoles that have been released over the years, which one of yours was your most favourite?
I've got a soft spot for the Dreamcast.
Hey.
Good choice.
I really do. It arrived too late. But if they had brought that out a couple of years before they'd screwed everything up with the Saturn, it was a gorgeous machine. They did everything right with the Dreamcast, but it just was too little, too late. And there were some absolutely fantastic Dreamcast games, and it's a great looking console. It had a good logo, it had a good name, everything was right about it. They released it at the right price point, but they were too far behind to catch up by that point. And so, Dreamcast for me. Yeah,
I think I said on one of our previous episodes, like how I think a lot of the consumers and probably like shops and whatever were quite burned after the experience of the Saturn, which had a horrible effect onto the Dreamcast when it was released.
Yeah, well, between the Saturn and the 32X, Sega just shot itself in the foot, and they were running on empty by the time Dreamcast came out. They didn't have even the resources just to promote the thing properly. They did their best, but Sony just had like bottomless pockets at that point.
Yeah.
Sad, but yes, it's Sega these days. I get frustrated with Sega because it feels like they've lost their identity a bit, and I kind of get a bit wound up with them. When they released Sonic Mania a few years ago, it was like, yes, this is what they should be doing, capitalising on that amazing legacy they've got. And then they had Streets of Rage 4, was it last year? Earlier this year, I can't remember. Yeah, which was good. It was fine. But then they've got all these kind of total war games, and it's just like, what Sega used to have such a defined presence in the games industry. Everyone knew what Sega was and what a Sega game was and the kind of games they did, and then they've just lost direction since they got out of the hardware game. It's a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Yakuza is like the biggest thing they have going now,
yes.
And I've absolutely fallen in love with that series. So,
yeah, I mean that what I like about it is it feels a bit Shenmue, so it feels like, okay, I can see the DNA Sega
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
But there's not enough of that they're bringing out, unfortunately. So, hey ho.
Hopefully one day. I think they've recently brought out Sonic Colors Ultimate and the Super Monkey Ball collection.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping that maybe they may be, actually realising what they've got and what they can actually do with the, characters and games that they've actually got a hold of.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they focus very heavily on Sonic. I mean, obviously, understandably, but perhaps a bit too much emphasis on Sonic. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Exactly.
I don't hold my breath.
No, it's probably a good thing to do when it's Sega. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's the show and everything. So, Paul, thank you so much for joining us and just talking to us about teletext and monkeys and the Dreamcast and everything else. It's been a real pleasure.
It's been great.
Yeah,
it's been a bit of joy. I really enjoyed it.
Before we sign off, can I ask a question that's probably on everyone's mind right now?
Sure.
Where did the idea and concept of Venus come from? I've been curious for 2 or 3 years now.
I apologise for this, Chris. I apologise.
Oh, jeez. I don't know.
Where did that just?
I actually don't know. These things just pop into my head. I may have seen. It may have come from the mask. I may have found the mask on Amazon. and kind of gone, beans.
Yeah.
Beanness. I mean, I have a tendency anyway to add us to the end of words. I've always done that for some reason. So bean us. Oh, ha ha! It sounds a bit like penis. It works great. And then, it was weird. It's weird. The character, I can only really do him when I've got the mask on. I did some stuff for Paul Gannon for his podcast the other day as Venus. He wanted me to do this bit as Venus, and we sat there and I didn't have the mask on, and it felt really wrong. It felt wrong to be doing Venus without the whole get up. I sound really wanky, don't I? Like a real method actor. Yeah. Darling, I can't. I haven't got the mask.
It's just, it was Rich that actually sent me the original video.
Yeah, my apologies.
About 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Well, it's like with anything.
And I love that random batshit craziness, and it just...
Yeah. But again, it was meant to be a throwaway character, and people just sort of picked up on it. And then lo and behold, it's like, last month doing Venus live. It was.
Yeah, I saw some of that on stage, like on YouTube.
Yeah, but it's good actually. My sister's in it. She didn't know she came to watch Digi Live, and then I pulled her up on stage to be a victim of Venus.
It's just like open the box.
Yeah,
like,
I still feel.
What the fuck is this?
Man. I still feel bad about what happened with Suze Kempner that night. She opened oh god, it was awful. I felt so bad. I'm trying to hold it together as Venus and kind of wanting to apologise profusely. I didn't know she had like proper full on like arachnophobia. Arachnophobia.
An arachnophobia.
Do you know what? I've just been doing my other podcast and I'm talking about album called Arachnophobia. So arachnophobia. Yes.
That was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Unironically say that he is the best Christmas song since E17. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
I actually revisited that Elephant's Toothpaste video about a week ago. And I was just fucking in stitches.
Yeah, it's still my favourite appearance by him. It's still my favourite one.
This debut thing, I think you've got the mask on for like 8 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It's like, take that fucking thing off, you're a grown ass man.
Yeah.
It just fucking got me.
Yeah, it works fantastic. Well with Gannon hating it.
It's just brilliant.
Good stuff.
Yeah, no, thank. I mean, I think we could spend all night talking to you about, Digitiser and, what you're up to these days, and the stuff that you've wrote for TV and Pudsey the movie, maybe.
Let's save that for another one.
Jason went there.
We'll save that for further down the line.
Yeah. Time has come to an end, unfortunately. But thank you again so much, mate.
You're very welcome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
If anyone's listening and they want to check out your stuff, Paul, where can they go to find all that?
The YouTube channel, youtube.com/Digitiser with an S, not a Z. And then just depending on when this is going out, if our Kickstarter's still going, do a search for Digitiser the Show Level 2. And we've got some nice rewards. All the disgusting rewards are now gone. So
unless you decide to add the your beard.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that on the final day. Back us, and it'll be a fun journey over the next year.
Sure,
it'll be a good one.
Definitely. Well, listeners, thank you for joining us as always, and we appreciate you spending your time with us. Don't forget, if you liked what you heard, then maybe check out our Patreon. If you fancy throwing us a quid, it would really mean the world to us. You'll find a Linktree link in the show notes, which has all our links, including our website, Twitter handles, and more. And if you have a few spare minutes, it would be awesome if you could leave a review on Apple Podcasts or any podcast service. It would really help the show be more discoverable. And I will read out the reviews on the show too. Chris, Rich, any final words before we leave?
I have to say mock. That's all I can say. I have to say that. So.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Chris?
I actually am lost for words right now.
Wow, that must be a first.
Yeah, it could end with beans, but that's just
the beans. The beans. There you go. You see, I feel dirty now. You made me do it.
Hashtag Browns. There you go.
Yeah, they are.
Amazing. All that's left for me to say is that you've been listening to What's Wrong with Wolfie, a 90s podcast to the max. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
See you later.
See ya.
What's wrong with Wolfie? I can hear him barking.